Hey guys, my name is Paul, and I'm one of the mentors here at All in a Space. And today I want to share with you guys my experience of working together with one of my mentees, Sarah Santoso, in her master application journey that ended with her landing an admission letter from both Columbia as well as NYU. Let's check it out. My first impression of Sarah. That's a really good question. I think from the very first meeting, she came across as someone who's very driven, very ambitious. She has this laser focus when it comes to pursuing her dreams. So it was inspiring to see someone who would stop at nothing, basically, to pursue what she's so passionate about. So another thing that really struck me about Sarah was the diversity of her experiences. So she started out from someone with an academic background in finance, into someone who worked for big four accounting firms, and her stint in the public sector as well. And she's also done a lot of really amazing community development projects in East Nusa Tenggara. And those experiences, along with her own personal passion and joining the pageant competition, all of those things I think really came together to make her into someone who has a very unique profile. And I think that's one of the keys when it comes to differentiating herself among her competitors for those applications. In terms of mentoring strategy, she came to us very, very clearly knowing what she wanted. So we knew from the get-go that she wanted to apply to Harvard, she wanted to go to Columbia, and she wanted to go to NYU. But Columbia had always been her first choice. And so we knew that we had to strategize for those three universities. So when it comes to strategizing, from the get-go, we knew that Sarah wanted to apply to three different universities. Her top choice being Columbia, and we knew she was also applying to Harvard and NYU. And so when it comes to mentoring someone with an experience as diverse as Sarah's, and someone who's also moving from one department or one field to another, the real key is figuring out how to produce a coherent narrative that does not only make sense, but is actually compelling in explaining how she actually makes a very strong candidate for these programs. So actually, another thing that we discovered in the middle of our mentoring process was that she actually struggled quite a bit when it comes to taking standardized tests. So she's obviously amazing and brilliant when it comes to communicating, when it comes to thinking outside the box. When it comes to having to sit down and dealing with all of these vocabulary and having to memorize a lot of stuff, she struggled with those aspects of her application. So one of the things that we had to take into account was actually making sure that she had the time allocated to study and prepare for the GRE exam. So that actually took out a chunk of her time that we had to take into consideration when it comes to the whole overarching scheme of the mentoring process. From the beginning, I think Sarah had always been very independent, and she worked really, really hard, and she worked really, really quickly as well. I remember giving her just tons and tons and tons of readings that were highly technical, because these were basically academic journals written by all of these professors from her target universities, and some of them could be quite arcane. But she consumed all of those materials very, very quickly, and there was not a single word of complaint. And I think that was very, very inspiring. So she worked very, very independently, she worked quickly, and there was a very good sense of organization in terms of how she actually managed her own time. And I think when it comes to her response to the mentoring process, I could see her growth in terms of her confidence in her own application as her personal brand, and her voice became clearer and clearer throughout the mentoring process. Another thing that was noticeably growing throughout the mentoring process, I think, was her confidence in her own application. And so before, I think there was some sense of doubt on her part as to whether or not she was good enough, her profile was strong enough to compete with other applicants for these programs. But I think as we progressed and she could see how all of her disparate but diverse and exceedingly rich experiences, how they could come together in this solid, compelling narrative, she could see that, oh, actually her profile, her application, they were actually very strong, and she was actually very competitive for the programs that she was applying for. So one of the most memorable moments that we shared together throughout the mentoring process was actually during the application deadline. So many things basically went wrong on that day. And for instance, all of a sudden, for some reason, her program disappeared from the application platform. And so there was just this whole hoo-ha and just a lot of panicking that ensued when that happened. And so, we tried asking around on social media, we tried reaching out to the university, and it was just chaos. And I remember, for one reason or another, basically we hit the submit button at the very, very last minute of the application deadline. And it literally came down to the wire. And it was so crazy. I remember my fingers being very, very cold when that happened. And it was around, I think 4 a.m. in the morning. So it was really such an experience. And definitely something that I would definitely go through again because it was actually also very, very rewarding. So when I first heard that she actually got accepted at Columbia, it was meh. I mean, it was expected, of course. No, I'm kidding. No, I was super happy. I was literally jumping up and down in my room because it was such an experience, such a joy. And looking back throughout the whole experience, I think I was just really inspired, and I learned a lot from Sarah. And throughout this application journey, I think there are two really important things that I noticed. The first one is the importance of starting with why and making sure that you articulate your motive for grad school. And so because I think she had this very clear vision of what she wanted to do, what she wanted to accomplish, and why she wanted to go to grad school, and why she needed to go to grad school, I think these two things actually allowed her to just crush through so many of the obstacles that were in her way. And the second lesson is that she was so ready to sacrifice her own personal comfort, and she was ready to invest time and energy in order to achieve what she wanted to achieve. And so these two things in combination, I think that's really key when it comes to writing a very strong master application. All right, so once again, thank you so much guys for tagging along with Sarah's master application journey. And so if you guys want to see more of these success stories of inspiring, amazing people applying and getting admitted at all of these amazing universities, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. See you guys later. Bye!